Hi everyone, and welcome to another segment of AstrologyAnswers.com's weekly horoscope. My name is Terrence Gardino. Well, this is the last week of relational Venus testing us with its retrograde motion. It will finally go direct where we can start resolving any kind of relationship misunderstandings or separations on Sunday, September the 6th. But the week starts off on Monday, August the 31st, where we may have one last test of relationships. So you need to be aware and breathe and don't react and don't jump to conclusions, because on Monday, the sun in Virgo will be exact opposite Neptune. Neptune is this planet of inspirations and dreams and fantasies. But when the sun is in opposite, it's sort of like a confrontation. And so it could put a spotlight on confusion, of transitions, of misunderstandings. So it's a very kind. Now for artists, it may be a dreamy, imaginative day. But for the rest of us, we may not be as clear and as focused as we should be in making decisions. We may not be as practical as we need to be. And Venus, as it's still retrograde, but it's slowing down before it stops and turns direct on Sunday. So as it's slowing down, it's actually getting more intense. And it's going to align with restless, impatient, assertive Mars. This Venus-Mars alignment can be very fertile ground for creativity, for really stimulating the imagination, particularly with the Sun-Neptune energy on the same day. But there might also be some misunderstandings, some miscalculations, because the Venus-Mars could be too passionate, too assertive, and there might be some ego conflicts and tensions. Remember, with the Venus in retrograde, you're still working out any kind of relationship differences. So anything that might, with your relationship, that might have been simmering and hadn't yet erupted, so you can at least clear the air, clear the decks and start over again. If you haven't had an eruption and you could feel it in your relationship, well, Monday, maybe going into Tuesday, could really be that trigger, because there's an intense amount of passionate sexual energy. But with the Sun Neptune, could be these confusions and disappointments. But by Saturday, this Venus is pretty much has stopped. It hasn't yet started to move forward, so it can start reconciling, moving forwards, resolving these previous conflicts. That slowly begins on Sunday. It takes maybe a week or so before the Venus is catching up to speed of its regular speed. So relationships and communications can be can flow more easily. But on Saturday, as the Venus has stopped, and it could even be pointing to some real urgency or importance about breaking through with relationship issues, the sun is going to be in the best angle to Pluto. Now, on Monday, on August 31st, the sun was in a stressful angle to Neptune. So there's all this nebulous confusion, disappointments. But now the sun is putting a spotlight on a favorable aspect to powerful transformational Pluto, as Venus has stopped and about ready to move forwards. This can actually be an excellent weekend with that Sun Pluto to start to transform our lives, to make these necessary changes and to resolve our differences and conflicts so we can start healing any kind of separations or resentments, tensions in relationships. So it might be, so the last problems, if you're not paying attention, could be triggered on Monday, but by Saturday and Sunday, as long as you are staying open and your feet are firmly planted on the ground, and you're taking responsibility, it's an excellent weekend to make some really important fundamental changes in yourself and in your relationships so you can grow and get beyond whatever other problems had brought up in the previous 6 weeks, and you can now start healing and moving forwards. I want to thank you for tuning in. I hope to see you next week with my next segment. Until then, have a great week.